I right that it's 245?
Oh, I don't know the time. Like the current price or like.
I think
I like that you. Hello. I'm gonna leave that in because I like that the confusion is there about
I
a
mean-
stock price versus what episode number of 100, couple hundred episode podcasts we're on.
Well, if you'd have said 300, I would have known immediately that's too high for this podcast number, right?
That's true. No, I know that they're down. They are now down below 200. I think it was like 175 ish. Last I
believe the
checked, GME price.
As of the day we are recording this,
Oh,
the
good point.
close
Yep.
the close was 225, and it's
Okay.
down
Well,
farther
after
in
hours.
after hours.
Yeah.
yeah.
Welcome to a podcast about gaming, wherein we have to talk about the stock market because gaming now involves the stock market, I guess.
Can't spell game without GME.
Ugh.
Dang, Michael, I kind of want to die now. That's such an awful fun.
One, I'm surprised that wouldn't be on their stock portfolio somewhere. Two, it's kind of a game in its own way, right? It's like a meta
It absolutely is.
game. We should just get into it, I think, off the bat, and we can talk about other stuff later, because literally the entire globe is talking about what is happening with GameStop stock.
I mean, there's a whole. I don't know what's happening, and none of us on this podcast are investment advisors. So let's be clear: nothing we're going to talk about here is advice. No one should do anything that we say, except maybe us ourselves do what we want.
Everybody should do what they want, which may not be a choice that you get depending on what app you use to trade.
Yeah. So this crazy thing kicked off at some point 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think. Someone or a group of someones or something on Reddit realized that, hey, the stock for GameStop Corporation, ticker symbol GME, was being shorted by a group of hedge funds.
Over-shorted.
It shorted to the tune of the phrase is called the short interest, and the short interest was over 100% of the shares of the stock. And what that means, what a short in general means, is that if you say you're going to short a stock, you borrow a share now, sell that share, and are then obligated to later buy a share back. And so you are hoping the price will be lower than what you sold it for so that you can keep the change, right? The example I heard from that I thought was really good online involves dresses, but this is a good, like, sort of concrete way to explain it, right? Say someone owns, like, say my friend owns a dress, right? And I think I would love this dress. I want to borrow the dress from them. They're a nice friend of mine, so they say, sure, here, take this dress. It's worth $100. Great. I go return the dress to the store and get the $100, right? And I say, I tell my friend, hey, I'll give this dress back to you in a month. They say, great. In a month, I go back to the store, find that the dress is on clearance. I pay $17 for the dress. I give the dress back to them.
Plus a borrower's fee.
Yeah. I give them $5 because they were nice to me and letting me borrow the dress, right? And I have now pocketed the difference between the $100 and the $17 plus $5 that I had to pay for the dress, right?
Sure.
That is how shorting a stock works, essentially.
Yeah, without getting into options, yes.
We're not going to talk about options, but the idea.
Well, that's how you get above 100% short interest.
Right. And really all options is basically saying I'm going to pay up front to multiply the effect of a single short, right? Mm-hmm. It's a way to multiply your buying power, but you are still at the end of the day obligated to purchase the stock at a price on a date. And if you have obligated yourself to purchase more stock than exists, which is means, there are more than 100% of the shares of the stock are shorted. That means at some point you will have to buy more stock than exists. Which means, but the contract is still valid. They're still obligated to buy the stock. And that means whoever holds the stock can say, "Well, you have to pay me more for it," right?
Yep.
I own it. I'm not going to sell to you for whatever price you want. We own all the stock here. You need more of it than we have. We can ask whatever we want to make you fulfill your contract, right?
Hmm.
And so this is what is called a short squeeze. This is what has happened or happening, depending on who you ask.
Well, the squeeze comes in with people who were short the stock trying to get away from their position losing money before they get aced out and have to buy at a higher rate, right? And so they buy each other
No,
out.
if you are short, you have to buy the stock. There's no way out, right?
Yeah, you have to pay it back.
You are obligated to pay it
Mhm.
back. What the forces at play here are people trying to drive the price up to force these people who are short to lose a lot of money because they are obligated. Like they must buy the stock. If their contract says I bought this share of GameStop at $8 or whatever, or $5 or however much it was, months ago, they may be obligated now to pay $200 a share,
Yeah.
potentially times many shares because of the way options work. Uh, so it's a very bad scene if you're one of the people who are short this stock, right? Uh, as of the day of this recording, it seems like there have been some coordinated work between various hedge funds to drive the price down a little bit. It was up a high of almost $400 at some point, and it's closer to like 150 to 180 to 200, depending on where you look and what time and exactly it is. But I think regardless, uh, the short positions are still in a lot of trouble because $180 is still, let's say, many hundreds of percent more than they want to be paying for those shares.
Yeah. So this all came about because a group on Reddit decided to
So a
make
group
stock
on
go up.
right, there's a forum on Reddit called Wall Street Bets, and it's been around for a pretty long time. I have actually been in it for quite a while, just because they post funny memes sometimes. And it's just like a bunch of people basically being like, it is like the definition of people being trolling on the internet, right? They're just like, I dare you to buy 1 million shares of this company whose stock is worth 1 penny. And people will be like, yeah, sure, that's like $100. I got that. And they'll just do it. Uh they do dumb things like this. And so someone on there pointed out, hey, look what they're doing to this GameStop stock. I think GameStop is better than this. Here's reasons why. I think this is garbage. People should get together and stop this. And then people kind of agreed with this person, and then they sort of became very popular, and they got some people online involved, and Elon Musk tweeted about it of all people,
I
and
don't think
like
the GameStop stock didn't deserve to be where it was entirely. Let's point out GameStop is not in a good financial position to
yeah,
begin with.
No,
yeah,
but they were being driven down beyond what
and
they should have been valued at.
I think it's hard to know what they should have been valued at because a GameStop, is a retail physical location based thing, right? And a lot of those physical spaces are closed due to COVID, and even the ones that are open, are not been doing great. Like GameStop was huge because malls, right? And no one goes to malls anymore,
Oh,
right?
and used games. I mean, used games don't exist when all games are free to buy and then have skins.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so the one of the points the poster was making was like, hey, they've installed this new CEO. This new CEO has been pushing digital sales way more to try and sell like, have GameStop open a digital store to sell games like you can get off Amazon or Steam and things like that, right? Which, whether you think that that will actually work or not, is at least a better idea probably than relying on the model they've been doing currently. Uh, and so he's like, look, this is an okay idea. These people are driving this company's share price down to like, the goal of these shorts was essentially to drive this stock to zero, right? Like have them declare bankruptcy. In which case, then the short people get to keep all the money, right? Stock's worth nothing. Uh, so I don't want to make a value judgment here. I didn't purchase any of this stock because A, I don't have hundreds of dollars
And
running around
also,
in a stock account that I want to throw away potentially.
there's a lot going on behind the scenes here that maybe people will uncover in the coming months and years about who some of the people behind this are. Not all of them are people that are just kind of Joe Blow Reddit users. A lot of them might
I
be
mean,
also hedge funders that have used the
I
internet to their
mean,
advantage.
absolutely.
Don't
Think
get
about
stuck
this.
holding the bag for a meme.
Right. Think about this, right? Like there are, a large number of retail investors that invested in this, right? There's data out there that can
Many.
prove that happened. But
Over something like 70%, 50 to 70%. I can't remember the exact number of Robinhood, which is a brokerage almost.
it's an
It's
app-based
an
brokerage.
app-based brokerage, but they're not a full clearinghouse or anything like that. It was like 50 to 70% of their users had this stock in their accounts.
But that's just Robinhood users, right? Like how many, the
Millions.
real, yeah, how many people own GameStop stock total, right? Lots and lots of people. And, the way it always works is that no matter what happens, someone on the stock market is richer than you, has more money than you, and more time than you involved in this, right? So, whatever any retail investor does, there's going to be a more sophisticated, whether that's a hedge fund or, some trading group or, an index fund or something like this is out there that those people are going to make more money than you off of the same thing you are doing just because having more money makes you better at the stock market. Like there's just no way to compete against the total amount of money. And by driving the stock price up, right? There's nothing stopping other hedge funds from coming in and buying the stock, also driving it up, right? So like it is not completely a David and Goliath kind of story here, although there is some aspect of that going on. It's like, oh, congratulations, like they're driving these 2 or 3 hedge funds maybe into like losing a ton of money. Meanwhile, 15 other hedge funds have made $5 billion.
Yeah, they're just transferring money between funds.
Yeah. And hey, like if at the end of this, it makes a ton of money for some people, that's great, right? I've seen posts of people say like, I've sold my GameStop positions and I was able to pay off my credit cards, or I was able to, pay back my student loans, or, I paid my mom back for these things I owed her or whatever." And like that's what it's good for, right? Like that is what the stock market should be doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um
yeah, in the long run,
but
sure.
yeah, but don't hold the stock as long as you are capable of holding and being able to lose that money,
Yeah,
right?
if you're gonna play individual stocks, just go into it with the mindset that every penny that you put into an individual stock could disappear tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, like it is a common saying in the Wall Street Bets forum that people talk about like serious investment advice and things, and then someone responds to it with, "Sir, this is a casino,"
Yeah.
and they're not wrong. And they, uh, especially when you do risky things like involve in options trading and it's shorts and calls and all these sorts of things,
Mm-hmm.
you are gambling and predicting. And there is no sure answer. No matter how smart you are, no matter what you've read, no matter what knowledge you have, there is a chance that you will lose all your money. So if you are willing to lose all that money, great. If not, reconsider what you are doing.
Yeah. And even more to be careful about is the fact that you can not only lose all your money, but go into the negative for way more than you put in the first place.
Especially with shorting, right?
Yes.
because of the way a short works, right? Where you have bought the thing, you have gained your money up front, and you have to buy the thing later. You don't know what the price will be later.
Yeah.
At least if you do the opposite way, right? Like you buy a stock at a cheap price and plan to it to go up, there is a theoretical minimum that you can lose, right? All your money is the most you can lose.
Right.
Doing the other way, you can theoretically lose infinite money if the stock price just keeps going up and, it just is always higher, then you just lose more money. Yeah. So, it is gambling in that way, especially if you engage in these sort of options and risky trades like this. So, people should be smart and don't do this sort of gambling stuff with money you don't expect to lose. But hey, if you have like money that you've set aside for playing that you don't care about and you want to do this stuff because it seems fun, there are worse things you can do for fun than this. I would stock is not as complicated as people make it seem. I think that's the thing I want to impress upon people. You can buy a stock. You, person listening to this podcast, could buy a stock. It's not that hard. You don't need like a fancy business degree to do this. I've never taken a business class in my life. I can buy many stocks. You don't need to know a lot of things. It's not special. It's not sacred. It's not like you have to be a genius to do this. You can just buy it and then just hold on to that stock forever. And, it might eventually not be worth very much, but hey, you still have it. You don't lose the money until you sell, right?
Yeah. Eventually, you do have to sell. So pay if
Andrew,
you
not
buy.
if you hold forever.
Yes, I know. HLD. Yeah. I mean, technically, right? If it goes into a trust, you could hold forever.
Yeah, literally, that is how most retirement accounts work. The idea is you put money into the account, they use it to buy stock, they just hold that stock, dividends and interest and stuff come in off that stock, they reinvest it in more stock, you put more money in, the amount just grows over time, and then in theory, when you retire, there's a bunch of money there. Ignoring the fact that maybe the market crashes or something and you lose all your money, but like that's how it's supposed to work.
Yep. All right.
I just find this
GameStop.
stuff fascinating.
I'm fascinated that they chose GameStop and now they're on silver, and
I don't believe anyone that says the hive mind is moving around and picking these various stocks.
okay.
I don't know. A lot of it feels like other people coming in to like manipulate the group of people
Absolutely.
that are lying around out there. Yeah. Certainly is, again, like you say, if you want to engage in this kind of like groupthink buying behavior or whatever, do so at your own risk.
Yeah, just realize that someone has to get stuck holding the bag.
Yeah. And, sir, this is a casino.
Unfortunately, unlike the casino, there's really no house. So it's not like you can't, like blackjack, you can play odds against one person. You're playing odds against a lot of people. It's more like it's like poker, but without the ability to outplay people because you're at the table.
Yeah. I don't know there is no good gambling alternative. It's like sports betting on outcomes that you can't really predict, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Often while sports betting, I've eaten a lot of wings. Do you want to talk about wings?
I love chicken wings.
Always.
I also love chicken wings. We have done the wing minute many a time, and I think that once all this craziness is over, we will continue the wing minute in person. That should be our celebration, I think.
It's been on the books forever. It's just on hold.
I know.
It's so sad. We were close to at the point like where we would get together and do this right before all this COVID stuff happened.
Yep.
We had sauce from the Hot Ones show that we were going to share on wings with you guys.
Uh-huh.
And now we have eaten all of that hot sauce.
I had pre-made
Actually,
rubs.
that's not true.
Yeah.
We still have some of the triple X stuff sauce
boy.
because that stuff is hard to eat a lot of that.
All right. Well, some
Yep.
places have decided to open up digital brands, which I think is a great idea. Hey, my kitchen's doing 10% of its normal service. So why don't we try cooking other things and getting people to come here? So one of the digital brands near Michael and I don't know if you have Lazy Dog cafes down there.
There's one that I know of, but it's far from me.
They've opened up a place called Jolene's Wings and Beer. The beer, of course, is from Lazy Dog.
Yep.
Sure.
They make good beer, actually. Their Huckleberry IPA is one of the best fruit beers because it just barely tastes like fruit.
Huh. Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising. You drink it and you're like, this is really refreshing, but not in that like pool beer way where you're kind of done with one after one, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not super fruity like those new seltzers and stuff everybody's trying to do.
Or like is it closer to like Hefeweizen style, or would you say it's still? Well, I guess you said it's an IPA, so no.
Yeah,
not
it's.
really,
I mean, it's pretty clear, non-hazy stuff, but they have a good Huckleberry IPA you should try. They also do wings.
Okay.
I maintain that rubs are my new favorite on a wing. And interestingly, this brand, Michael has had it. They've taken 3 different tactics with their wings. One is like very heavily sauced. One is very lightly sauced, almost like it's a rub. And then they have one actual rub. Yeah.
Okay. Do you just like the rubs because it's easier to clean up?
I have a direct answer to that question, and it's no.
Okay.
I felt like when we ate the saucy one, I finally had an answer to why I like the rub and or lightly drizzled in sauce the best. Michael?
Okay.
The Parmesan wings.
Oh yeah, their version of the garlic parm.
Yes.
What'd you think?
I felt like I was eating Alfredo.
Like the Alfredo, like the pasta topping?
Yes, like the pasta topping. I mean, it's not the same, and it tastes fine when it's hot. But as they start to cool, it's almost like someone poured a jar of like medium lukewarm Alfredo sauce over the wings.
So when we had them, I will say the sauce was not that heavy. It was much lighter.
And yet, one of the texts you sent to me was, "I wish there was more sauce," and they listened.
Yeah, but even the sauce that there was, the consistency wasn't that thick. Is more what I mean.
This was very creamy, and thick, and why one of the reasons I think that even when it's buffalo sauce and it's just drenched on there, I don't want to. I felt like I was like just eating sauce, and so they have a couple flavors there, but their Kung Pao flavor, very good, almost like a rub because most of the flavors coming from like chopped garlic and onions that are stuck to this thing with a very light amount of teriyaki, very light, like almost not even there. The wing quality is good. It really comes down to how well they cook the chicken, because everyone's a creative chef and they come up with creative flavors. Their chili lime rub was pretty good. A little light actually, but fine. Their barbecue sauce, you're right, was a little bit more on the vinegar side. Not barbecue, whatever, the Frank's or whatever version of that they had.
Their buffalo.
Okay.
It was fine, but a little vinegary. Just a different take. But they're all gonna have good flavor, and I would say that their quality of cooking was higher than like a Buffalo Wild Wings. They definitely let the wings maintain some of their moisture, but they were so crispy, which was good.
Okay.
And that's your
This sounds very good.
on-air wing review. They don't have that many flavors. But the cool thing about it is that you can order stuff from either restaurant if you just call.
Yeah, and then pick it all up together.
Yeah, and they'll put it on the same order. So we ordered a bunch of cauliflower stuff like buffalo cauliflower from the normal restaurant and some sides from the normal restaurant, like potatoes or whatever. And then because they charge you for, don't do this. Carrots and celery are not expensive. Don't charge.
Yeah, that was one of my complaints too.
Don't charge.
That sucks, dude. Especially because you can just go to the store, like your market, like local
Oh,
market,
yeah.
and buy like a giant amount of small carrots and a ludicrous amount of celery for like $4.
Oh,
Yeah,
I have a bunch.
You can buy the already cut ones too for still cheap.
Yeah,
But
it's what I mean. Like buy like the baby cut carrots. Probably you can buy cut celery and a bottle of ranch, and it's probably less than what you just paid. How much was it, Andrew?
oh, I didn't pay. Are you kidding me? I have baby carrots and celery in the house at all times.
Oh, okay. So how much were they charging? Do you remember?
Oh, it was like $3 per, but it was not a lot amount.
Yeah, that's cray cray, man.
Yeah.
Cray.
No, no, thank you.
I get if they want to charge you to like give you more or something, but
No.
like just charging up front is
Sure.
that's
Yeah,
bananas.
it is. It is. Every wing comes as meatless or bone in, or as boneless or bone in. So there's an option for everybody, depending on if you're a stickler for bone in or not. Which I'm sure we've debated on here before.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a whole thing.
I'm not gonna
They're,
find that episode number.
They're expanding their menu a little bit, Andy.
Jolene's is?
Yes.
Okay.
They are trialing this at 2 of their restaurants right now, apparently. But they are doing pizza sticks. So like basically cheese
Breadstick
sticks, but loaded
pizzas?
breadsticks loaded with pizza toppings.
Okay.
So there's pepperoni. There's
Didn't Little Caesars try this?
chicken and hot sauce. I don't know. I mean, they've always had their like crazy bread.
I don't know. One of the pizza brands has tried this. I mean, if it's good, it's
Yeah.
good, I guess.
They look tasty. I would try them if they roll them out to all their locations.
Of course. Yeah, I could go for more of those Kung Pao or normal. Some of them were pretty good. Some of them, I was disappointed in that Parmesan. It was like I could have put noodles in the leftover sauce and been like, what a meal. Too much.
Too thick.
Too much. Oh boy. All right. We got to bounce between news again. I think we're going to be bouncing back and forth because I got to hit you with 2 news stories. I'm going to love responses from both of you on one of each. It's both about Google. So who wants to go first with their story?
Okay. I'm here. What's up?
Okay, JJ's going first. All right. JJ. In
Yes, hello.
Australia, Google has decided they will likely shut down their signature search service as they are now being required by Australia. All search engines are now required by Australia to pay news sites for the search results.
So Google just won't be available in Australia. Is that what you're saying?
So
You will
Google
not
has
be
said
able to use Google.
we oppose this, and therefore we will just not operate in Australia anymore.
But like they'll just geo-block the IP addresses of everyone in Australia, or like they're just not going to have buildings in Australia anymore.
I don't know. I mean, they'll find a way, I guess, that they are not liable for people who use their service, right? Like you'd have to VPN or something to go get Google because IPs from Australia couldn't use Google, is my guess.
That seems pretty crazy. I mean, from both ends, I guess it seems crazy.
It does,
Crazy
from both
that
ends.
Google would pull out, and also crazy that they want to charge for links. Is that what the idea is here?
The idea is that because Google is making so much money off of being Google, Australia has decided that everyone that links. I'm pretty sure this is how it works. That if
I need to see the article here, man. Like,
Okay.
what is the text?
All
Like,
right.
links are property, and therefore you own your link or something, and they have to pay to use it. Is that how they're justifying this?
So it's signed. They're signing deals all over the globe, I guess, with like publishers to pay them for their news content, for the like linked news stories. When you click on the news tab,
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, the Australian, Microsoft. Okay, I was trying to find the exact text. The article that I was saying just says that
Just
Australia is requiring new rules that people who link stuff. So I'm gonna try and find a better article than Market Watch here and see if somebody else
or just
explains it.
you can
Uh,
just send me the link, and I
oh,
can find it while you talk
well,
about
it's
it.
okay. I mean, but just in general, knowing a little bit more about how all this stuff is connected,
I mean,
it's almost impossible to pay every single little link that comes through on Google as a news thing. How would that even work?
well, so I don't know. Um, I'm not Google. I don't understand how their thing works anyway. And I don't really understand whether they just mean stuff that shows up in the news tab, because then they can just like never make the news tab work in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Or if they mean anytime you search. If they mean anytime you search, the whole point of search is to be able to find anything and
Mm-hmm.
find the thing that you're looking for.
Yep.
So if they are required to pay people to look at their stuff to decide if it's the thing that people want, then that is insane. And it just breaks the entire idea of searching anything, right? Because otherwise, like, you have to
Yeah.
pay me to see what the thing I have is. You don't get to know my website is secret until you pay me.
Hmm.
That's just like bananas. That's not how the internet works. That's just a fundamental misunderstanding of how the internet works there. If they're talking about the news thing, maybe that's like there could be some kind of justification there that I don't understand that could maybe work, and then just no news ever pops up on Google in Australia, which would also be kind of weird.
Yeah.
But
To answer that question, maybe this answers it. Facebook has threatened to remove news from its news feed. So,
I mean, I think that would be a win actually for everyone if they just did it, and not just in Australia, everywhere. But
yeah.
I mean, Facebook's news is notoriously garbage. So, yeah.
Well, it
The
seems
idea
like
of links, the idea of links is to move traffic around, right?
right. Yeah.
So like
It seems
you
like
you,
Google
you post
believes
a
that.
link somewhere, and then people see it, and then they go, "Oh, I can click on this and go to your thing."
Yeah.
If you charge people for that link, then no one is incentivized to click on it.
Right. Because
Right?
why wouldn't you just pass through the charge? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems to me that Google thinks they can't even operate in Australia based on the way the law is written. Facebook thinks they can just take off their news, which makes some sense, right? You know?
Sure.
And they also, Facebook says they might even have to pull news links from users' feeds as well. Interesting.
Oh,
That's pretty crazy.
It could be a win though. Still.
Yeah, I mean, look, people are bad at sharing news. You know what? Facebook is just bad in general. I wouldn't be sad if this happened to them, but
Yeah.
I think look, and Google's a huge company. I'm sure they'll be fine without Australia. No offense to people in Australia. But I think that probably this law is a bit misguided and doesn't exactly understand
Yeah,
how this works.
it's one of those things where things maybe don't understand, right? Yeah. The people that wrote it don't understand, or someone else wrote it and they never read it, right? But Google
Or
showed up
like,
at your doorstep and said it was bad, and so you said, "Oh no, well I can't listen to Google because they're a mega corporation." It just gets into like the who's who of who's on which side, and then no one wants to move.
yeah, I mean, it's a case that I think. Also, Google is only threatening to do this. They haven't actually done it.
Good point.
Which is another thing, right?
Well,
Facebook says, "Oh, we'll do this, you guys. We swear," and then Like
Look,
they implement the law and then they're like,
you've given me a
nah.
perfect segue here, and I'm going to take it for our next story.
All
Google
right.
is no stranger to abandonment. Michael, here's yours.
Uh-oh, what do you got?
So, that Stadia account I know you were jonesing for. Google announces today that they see Stadia as the future of gaming.
Just not their future.
However, while the service will remain live, all 135 studios that they have put under their belt to make original content will be disbanded.
That's 135 studios, Andrew.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what that.
Oh, is it
that says, right?
135 employees, not in studios?
Yeah, I think it's 135 employees.
Got it. My bad. Still bad.
Stadia, we barely knew ye.
So, Michael, are you going to be running out to grab a Google Stadia device that you maybe or maybe not able to buy at all to play third-party
Andrew,
games?
it's still on sale. What do you mean? It's still open. They didn't fire any of the executives.
I want to know what Michael's going to do.
Can I look into shorting some Stadia stock?
I don't know
You
which
get to
alphabet is that. You have to know
short
which
all of Google, unfortunately.
Nope.
alphabet A, B, C, or D class is in charge of Stadia.
Andrew, we don't have time to go into the different classes of stock today. If you want to know what stock classes are about, you can write into us at podcast@weweregamers.com.
I'm literally just going to forward that email to somebody else. I'm not going to take on stock classes.
But yeah, anyway, sorry, Michael.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. That it seemed like such an ambitious plan for them. And I still had no idea how they were going to promise on the level of performance that they were claiming that you would be able to get from Stadia.
I don't ever understand how with current infrastructure, right? Like if they were talking about, well, Stadia is only available on our fiber service, maybe you could get to the point that the response time was close enough for not competitive games.
I mean,
but
I think Google has a pretty big internet presence in general, and if all you need to do is hit servers run by Google, that shouldn't be very hard for most people with decent broadband connections, right? The decent broadband connection part is the problem, of course, in the United States anyway.
Yes.
But in lots of places around the world, it's not that hard to have good internet. And I think the idea is good, and I think Google could have done it, but it would have required them to like invest more money and like time and energy.
Yeah, energy. Yeah, good point.
And I think vision, and they don't seem to have any of those things.
Right.
It's
consistent.
To me.
It's like the Microsoft of old, and they've abandoned this, thankfully, with maybe a more Disney-like attitude towards their leadership. But like the winds of change at Google are fickle, and whoever is up this week in whatever news report of 100 most influential people gets more say than others. Versus, you know, at Microsoft or Disney, you know who's in charge. That person says it, and it doesn't change no matter how hard it is.
And like, it seems to me that if whatever project you launch at Google isn't both immediately popular and like wildly popular, right? It has to be both like popular when you launch it and then like, you know, exponentially growing like it's Gmail or something till it takes over the world, right? If you're not on that trajectory, Google just kills it and says, who cares?
I mean, if you're a Google person, email the answer to this question, but what has Google launched recently that has done that?
Phones, one assumes.
Phones, I mean, their phones have been around for a decade now. Anything else you got?
I assume the Internet of Thing stuff, like the Nest and those sort of things.
I mean, I'm
they
sure they're
selling
popular,
a lot of
but
those.
they're
Wi-Fi
popular.
routers.
They're popular-ish. They've had to cull their Internet of Things line down a little bit. Some of that stuff wasn't selling. I think they're ending their security service. That was part of that. You know, it was all integrated together. The
I didn't even
Google
know
like
they sold one of those. I just knew I was thinking of like the thermostat specifically.
yeah,
and
the
like
thermostat which they bought from somebody else. Yeah,
and like the Wi-Fi routers specifically. Those are the
that
only
they
two
bought
things
from
I can
somebody
think of.
else. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. Google buys everything from somebody
I
else. The
know.
Android, which they bought from somebody else. Like,
I know. So that's what I'm wondering is like, where's the internal break the mold? This goes for Apple too. You know, like what has Apple done? They created a TV network. These companies have gotten so large, they're just like steering barges through a canal. You can't go any direction other than straight.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Google, they have Alphabet, right, which has all kinds of other stuff going on too.
Sure, self-driving cars and putting Wi-Fi in metal tankers. I don't know what they're doing.
if you know what they're doing, you
That's
could
what I
write
just
to the
said. Yes.
podcast at wewergamers.com.
Yes.
Please let us know.
Speaking of Apple, that Ted Lasso show is good, by the way. I know neither of you have Apple TV.
Nope.
Duly noted.
But if it graces you in another form than Apple TV that you're willing to view it on, it was good. It was good.
I've been enjoying that WandaVision. I know we're not talking about it.
We
this
could
week,
talk
but
about it. You want to talk about it for a minute? I don't know if Michael's caught up.
We haven't started yet.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I have started.
Well, if you haven't started, we definitely can't.
We can't talk about it if you haven't started.
Okay.
Wait, I can say one thing. What a good show.
I enjoy it. Yeah, I enjoy it as well.
I don't know if it's a good show. We won't know if it was a good show until it's over, is what I have to say about that show.
Potentially, yeah.
There's a very high potential that it's a good show. There's also a very high potential that it's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hey, I'm not bagging on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Ken. Don't come at me.
Or do. I mean.
Or do. Sure. But that show lost a step in its 98th season or whatever, you know? They needed a goal.
Yeah.
And it seems like
Well,
WandaVision might have a goal.
Maybe when Michael gets to see some of it, we'll talk about it on here. I am curious to hear more in-depth discussions about it because I think there is stuff to talk about.
Cool.
Yeah. We'll catch up. We'll
It's good.
discuss it.
It's good. Does anybody want to hear about anime?
What's wrong with anime?
There is nothing wrong with anime. I am able to fulfill a reader request and say, I finished One Punch Season 2.
Oh, dude.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. Was it as good as season 1?
Let me get my notes here.
Oh, that's okay. Not just yes.
I was taking notes. Got it.
I didn't take notes until maybe like the last 4 episodes or so because I started to develop some pretty conflicting thoughts and I was trying to rule out in my head whether it was One Punch Season 2 is good. One Punch Season 2 might not be. JJ, describe One Punch Season 1.
To Saitama
somebody...
is a One Punch Man. And
Yeah.
He's a superhero.
Sure.
And he's like incredibly, unbelievably, insanely powerful,
Mhm.
but he looks like a dope.
Yeah.
And he goes around and beats enemies in one punch. That's the thing.
Okay. Why is that the thing? What are they trying to accomplish there, and what should people know so they actually enjoy it about One Punch Season 1?
Satire, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the reason.
Right, yeah.
Like it's a send up of how ridiculous superheroes and anime, like shonen anime, gets, where like everyone gets more and more powerful all the time or whatever. This dude Saitama is just like insanely, unbelievably overpowered, and just no matter how powerful the monster gets, he just walks up and boom, and the monster's dead.
Okay. So in that entire description of that show, Michael, did you hear about any heroes other than Saitama?
No.
It would behoove you to know that there's an entire hero association. Saitama has a protege, and there are about 9 million other heroes. in that show. One Punch season
Yeah.
2 is often about every hero except Saitama.
I see. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Being put out of a job.
No. No. They use a satire event. I don't know if you remember this from Dragon Ball, either of you, but there's the Dragon Ball tournament, like
Yes.
the King of Fighters or whatever it is tournament.
I mean, that happens multiple times in various Dragon Ball arcs.
Okay, but like there's the big one where I think it's Cell or somebody is like rampaging through Earth at the time that they're having this tournament, and nobody at the tournament is going to do anything about it because they're all worried about winning the tournament.
Okay. There are multiple times where there are big tournaments and the world is on the line, and like it's anyway. Dragon
Okay.
Balls, we get it.
So I'm gonna monologue on you for a minute, and you can kind of get where I'm going. Maybe they use that about halfway through this season to say like Saitama has this issue in season 1, and it's a good issue. He's bored, right? He doesn't enjoy being a hero because he can't be challenged. There's literally nothing he can do that anyone can do to hurt him, and nothing he has to do except maybe throw 2 punches when somebody is able to regenerate themselves like they are at the very end of that season 1, right? So they have the problem of what are we going to do with Saitama in a second season of this show, because everybody already knows the joke. And so a lot of the show becomes about like, well, how do we write him around him or write him out? And so they use the same thing as Dragon Ball and to a satirist effect, right? Like they don't just use it to get rid of him. They use it to make jokes and to parody Dragon Ball in that instance.
Mhm.
But it effectively removes him from the show and does so for multiple episodes. They do it because they need to focus on other people. And what they do to focus on other people is bring in people like King, who's supposedly the strongest hero in the entire world, but he is actually not that strong, right? He's just in the right place at the right time in a Krillin kind of way, almost like he's able to defeat people, or he has other people defeat people and then he gets the credit for it. But mentally, he's kind of more like a mentor to Saitama because he can beat him at video games, right? So he challenges him to video games, and you start to realize that maybe the show is starting to shift in that they want to, yes, they still want to be funny, and that yes, they still want to parody sometimes some stuff, but almost no time this season did I laugh out loud like I did multiple times in the first season. They introduce a lot of people, like they introduce this martial artist who is supposed to be a foil for Saitama, in saying like he's the best martial artist in the world. No one in the martial arts tournament can beat him, and so he's bored. And the only reason he wanted to show up at the tournament this time was to fight somebody that didn't end up showing up. And so Saitama has to teach him a lesson. And there's a lot of introspection about what it means, more than the first season, to kind of like be a character. And so to give Saitama rivals, they have to bring up characters that are either new or old, give them stories, and then either beat them down and prove that, you know, the way they also were doing stuff is wrong. So they're not actually going to show Saitama that he's a different way for him to live, or they have to break them down like they do for some of the S-class heroes in the Hero Association, and make them into something else. So, you know, he gets a rival through King at video games, where he mentally doesn't have the ability to do anything in the video game except also punch, right?
Right. Yeah.
He thinks, oh look, if I'm playing this video game against King, I'm faster than him. I can literally press this button faster than he can do anything, and I'll kill him because the block, it does damage through the block, and eventually I'll kill him. And King, all he has to do is jump. Right? This is the lesson they try to teach him over and over again through like martial arts and all these other things.
Right.
I'm gonna finish talking about this, and then I'll talk about something else in it. The problem is that they don't end at the end of this season. The real, and I think there's a lot of issues people could take with what they expect to have come into in One Punch Season 2 based on One Punch Season 1. I would suggest anyone that ever watched any shonen, Viz, or any other, Akira Toriyama or whatever, anything, go watch Season 1. I don't know that I would suggest for non-anime fans to go watch Season 2. And it's because at the end of Season 2, it's unresolved. There's a whole unresolved bunch of stories, but the main thing that is unresolved is that Saitama doesn't finish learning anything.
Right. The arc isn't done.
The arc, if they had finished his arc and said, wow, he will eventually run into a mental opponent that he can't beat. And so this arc was to teach him that. It just ends on him not having learned it. There's a moment where Genos, his protege, says, what do I need in order to become stronger, because he lost another fight? And Saitama's answer again is, oh, just more power, man. Like, you're just not strong enough. It's like, buddy, I just spent, like 11 episodes watching you supposedly learn that that's not the answer. So that's, I think, where a lot of people get hung up on why it's not as good as Season 1. Whereas Season 1 ended on kind of a funny but good ending where, like, he has that fight and he seems to accept that he may never experience joy,
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole subplot in Season 2. Like I said, they focus on the other heroes, and so because they focus on the other heroes, they start to focus on the enemies. And so you have the Hero Association, and you have the subplot of the Hero Association, and then the subplot in the Hero Association. And it gets into like, well, the suits are running the show and the heroes should be running the show. And so one of the heroes defects and he becomes a monster, but he's not actually a monster. You have to be a monster to be. It's just like, it gets very convoluted in an anime way and not in like a satire way.
Yeah.
They add in a monster association. The monster association has monsters that are stronger than the S-class heroes, but none of them are still any stronger than Saitama. I don't know. There's a really good beginning of a nemesis that they're creating for him in this. There's another character called Garo, who they've created, who's like a human who wants to become a hero hunter, and he just goes around hurting heroes and trying to get stronger like Saitama's done by fighting monsters. I hope that it doesn't get cheapened in a Season 3, because they spend so much time developing him as a villain, and it doesn't end, right? He's not removed by the end of this season. He's part of the cliffhanger. But there's a subplot on the monster side of like, oh, to become a monster, you have to eat these monster cells. And it's like, wait, where did that come from? Right? Like in Season 1, some dude ate too much crab and became a monster. Like, where did the jokes go? You know what I mean? like why are we doing this plot? Like, that guy's a bird because he tried to fly too many times off a building, right? Like, that's what the joke should be, not like, oh, you go to the Monster Association and you get monster cells and you eat them. Like, this isn't This is not Resident Evil.
It sounds like, Andrew,
Yeah.
instead of having fun like they were in the first season and poking fun at things, they took the fun fiction seriously and decided to make an anime based on taking themselves seriously instead of having fun.
The writer of this is very smart and funny, and saw an opportunity that he has created a fictional world that he could then start to explore real stuff in. And so I don't know that I'm going to complain about it, because I did enjoy myself, and I would watch a season 3 of this because I enjoyed myself. But coming from season 1, you're kind of like, I'm a little lost here on what my expectations were, but I don't know what my expectations are. It's almost like what's going to happen when Lower Decks comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, you ended on a real banger. Like, that's the great episode, that end of that season. And what do you do? Do you go a more traditional route and try to shift your show to, or do you try and make the same joke? You know, I don't know that I would have the answer to making a successful season 2 of this show. So, you know,
okay.
he decided to create the world that he created, and really the first 5 episodes of the season are reminding you that there's this whole world that has been created around this hero association that he creates, and then does a really good job of saying, like, so look, I created all this stuff, and now maybe I think it might have been a bad idea. And so now we're going to explore why it's a bad idea to have this overarching organization in charge of all the hero, you know, like that kind of stuff.
Sure. So, you know, it sounds like there's a lot of world building here.
A lot.
And they're setting stuff up maybe that is going to pay off here down the line, season 3 or later, right?
Yeah, and if you're going to build a world, right, Saitama can't be out there killing every single monster.
Yeah, you can't build these guys up to have them just instantly die every time
Right.
Saitama shows up, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I had to shout out the best line in the sub. I wrote it down. Are you ready?
My body is ready.
So Garo gets cornered in a building, and he's really beaten up. He's fought off S-class heroes. He's like on the verge of dying. He's been cornered by like eight superheroes who've all decided they're going to take him down so they can be famous and prove that they're the ones. And they're really good. Like, it's a really well-built team. He's fought them for a long time. And his challenging moment when he finally realizes how to unlock another level, right? Where he's going to move up in power right now in the middle of this fight. I'm going to butcher you like a butcher.
I don't know what that's.
If someone said that to me, I would run. I'm just saying, like, if someone looked at me the way he looks at everybody else in that fight and says, I realized this thing, I'm going to butcher you like a butcher, I'd be like, no, you're not, because I'm out of here.
It sounds goofy when you say it, but I'm sure the scene is cool.
The scene was cool, but it was goofy as all get out, man. It was really goofy, right? Because you're in the middle of watching this hero called Death Gatling unload his Gatling gun on him, and like all this other stuff. They create so many heroes. Oh my god. It's like an unimaginable amount of heroes that he has created for this thing in the background. And just that's the idea, right? He did all this work, and then does he not explore it, or does he explore it? And so I don't know. Shout out, you know, thanks for the email telling me to watch it. I enjoyed my time watching it, but I don't know that I could offhand recommend it. Maybe once there's a season 3, but they haven't even made it yet because of COVID.
Yeah, it sounds like the season 3 is coming maybe this year, ?
Yeah.
I would watch season 2, but I don't have access to the service that it's on, sadly. So,
well, that's my 15 minutes on One Punch season 2.
I can't be mad at the guy for wanting to cash in on the popularity of this extremely popular first season of this thing, which I suspect was built only to be a 1-season thing.
And he did it as a manga first.
Sure, and I'm sure the manga continues on and does a bunch of other stuff.
And so,
right?
yeah, if you don't have to make episodes and you don't have to cut them off so you can release them and make some money, maybe this arc that Saitama's in the middle of makes some sense. But you know, I mean, it is what it is. You know, I don't know. Also, hold on. My last thing. They should not have changed the music. They should not have changed the music.
They changed the opening.
They changed the opening. I don't know why.
Every anime does this, dude. Every anime.
I know they did it. I know.
Every anime does it. Every single one. The first season has like a song, and like maybe you like it, maybe you don't. And then you're by the end of the season, you're like, you know what, this song is a bop. I love this song. It's great.
Okay, but
then second season, now they change it, and you're like, oh, it's gone.
Nope. Yeah.
Why you do this, man?
You know what? We're gonna do a sound test from Michael.
You know what season it is?
Oh, that's loud. That's loud. Ads. We're gonna do a sound test through Michael as the last thing today. Okay, Michael?
Okay.
You're going to tell us which one is the bop. All right? Go ahead and start that one. I don't know if you can listen to the whole thing. But
yeah, it's like 4 minutes.
Yeah. Just get through, you know, like the opening. Maybe 40 seconds. I'm not playing them because they're so loud. I'm not playing them on my end. They're so loud. But JJ, you remember the first one? It's a real guitar slammer. You know what I mean? Like
this dude is like
going to low chords.
He's yelling about one punch and telling you.
Yeah. So you come from that, and the whole show being about Saitama, right? And this one opens up. JJ, watch that second one and tell me how long it takes you before you even see Saitama. After the opening, I think he's the first thing, and then after that,
yeah, he's right there.
And then,
all right, so he's in that. It's like 10 seconds or something. You see another guy, and then he's like in the background.
Yeah.
But all these people that are showing up now are not Saitama.
Nope.
It just feels like they took a good idea and anime-fied it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you come into season 2 and you're like, well, where did the music go and who are all these people? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
get back to slamming the guitar in season 3. That's my 2 cents.
That's my 2 cents. I don't know. I think if other anime holds true, they will change one of either the opening or closing credits per season.
Of course.
So next season they'll change the closing credits.
They changed both with this again. Season.
Oh, did they change both?
They changed
Interesting.
Both. Mm-hmm.
It's usually like they change one and they keep it, and then they change the other one the next time, and they do.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. I've watched enough Naruto to know the pattern. Yeah. All right. Well, if you have unanswered questions about One Punch, if you want to clarify for us why Google would possibly black out Australia, or if, you know, man,
give us some hot stock tips.
No, don't do that. Don't email me that.
I mean,
I don't want anything.
You can send them. We're not going to do anything with them.
I do not want anything to do with the SEC. Man, please. Don't.
The SEC won't let me be, or let me be me, or buy GME.
Keep going. You got to finish it now.
No, I don't know the rest of the song. That's as far as I got.
All right. Where do you do that?
You can do that at podcast@weweregamers.com. That's podcast@weweregamers.com, an email address that we read, and we'll certainly amalgamate your emails together and read and talk about on this show.
What a word.
Eventually.
Good job.
Yeah, man. See, this is what happens. All of a sudden, you start talking about stocks, and you just become all erudite. You know all these words. It's great.
Eviscerate the proletariat.
Yeah, man. Let's do that. Wait, no. I forgot which one the proletariat was for a second there. Now I remembered.
Yeah.
yeah, so please send us emails, podcast@wewergamers.com. You can subscribe to this podcast on every social media that is out there. We're at We Were Gamers. You can follow us on Google and Apple and Amazon and I don't know, wherever the heck else, Spotify,
All of them.
Stitcher. Yeah,
just
all
do
of
it.
them.
Hey,
Yeah.
check out YouTube though.
Yes, YouTube is very important, and it's great for us if you watch and listen to our podcast there. There's convenient playlists. It's very helpful.
And until next time, when we actually talk about games.
Maybe.
Yeah, we will. I've been playing some games, so
Okay.
but
No promises, but seems likely that games.
I had a good amount of notes on One Punch, and I really felt like it should be talked about because we got multiple emails about it. So
I'm excited just to go listen to this this One Punch Man season 1 cover because this is
cover. Okay, all right.
the one you linked is a cover.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. Bummer.
That's
Anyway.
still awesome.
I mean, it should be awesome.
You learn. You got enough, man. It's It's not that different.
I mean, if he screams One Punch over a guitar, you got it.
That's what he does. Yeah.
Okay.